get tighter financially, more people are looking towards how they might be able to earn a few extra quid on top of their day job. Well, Lee Chambers is a psychologist who lives in Preston and has been recognised as one of the country's top entrepreneurs. And I'm delighted to welcome Lee to the show this morning. Lee, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Sharon. Pleasure to be on.
Thank you so much for your time. It's Feel Good Friday. I hope you're feeling good today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a good place. It's been an interesting week, but more than ever, I keep myself in a place where there's constant momentum and I'm surrounded by positive people, and that really helps.
Fantastic. We'll get on to that in just a sec. Lee, just tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
So I'm a psychologist and run a company called Essentialised Workplace Wellbeing, and we help companies across the country to really build well-being into their strategies, help them do it effectively, help them look after the people, and also gain the benefits of that from a business perspective as well. And we do a lot of work with different sectors, but really so much of it is about helping people to become and feel better in themselves, empower them to be able to do more, and really help them to be able to see what opportunities they can take and how they can really improve their own lives in a lot of different ways by taking ownership and accountability.
Lee, you talk there about well-being and positivity. That's something I think just about everybody could benefit right now with the rising cost of absolutely everything.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a tough start to the decade, let's be honest, and I think recognising that is quite often a starting point with everything that's gone on over the last 2 years, and there's still all that uncertainty in the system about what's going to happen, and it is challenging when there are costs rising that we can't control, because as human beings, we like to be able to feel that we're in control of all the different aspects in our lives. But more than ever, it's a chance to start to look now and think we do have a little bit more stability in respects to the health situation, which is going to be beneficial moving forward, but actually starting to think about those little things that we can control. And obviously today we're going to probably look at a few things about where you can maybe make a little bit of extra money to offset those costs, and how you can actually look at those little things that you can control. And when we think about what we can control, we start to actually feel that, you know what, it is a bit uncertain out there, but if there are things that I can control, then I actually feel, better. I feel more well. I feel like I'm able to actually do and achieve more as well.
Let's talk about that then, Lee. How can we make a little bit of extra money? Where do we start?
From my perspective, there's two ways to look at it. There's trying to reduce the cost that you have and see if there's anything you can do from that side. And then on the other side, there's what income can I generate and how can I do that? So I suppose when it comes to costs, a lot of people are, more receptive to that and have been actively doing stuff to look at the things that they can control. So I tend to try and take people into the place of, if you've looked at your finances and, you've moved any debts that you have to the lowest interest, and you've kind of looked and reclaimed anything that you can, whether that be, benefits or rebates or on tax. That's kind of all the stuff that if you do that, then you've got to a point where your costs are as low as they're going to be. And we don't want to get to a point where you budget so heavily for a lot of people, where you're just not enjoying life, and everything becomes a struggle. So I try and take people across to that. How can we make some extra money? Because that extra money can then both go into the coffers and help us to keep doing the things we enjoy and experience new things too. So some of the things that I suggest there is an increasing sustainability drive in the world. What can you rent out that you have? Have you got some storage you can rent out? Can you rent out your wardrobe? Can you rent your car? Can you rent a parking space? And are now websites and ways to be able to rent spaces and things that you have that you're not using all the time. You can make a bit of extra money through that. Another one that I like to kind of advocate is banks are clamouring to get you to switch to them. They'll pay you 150 quid to switch your account, and there's not really anything that you have to do. They will do it all for you, and the new bank will pay you just for moving. Also cashback websites as well, Sharon.
Yeah.
So the things that you have to buy and have to spend, if you use them, they will give you money for either spending or for switching. And it's money that you simply are getting into your back pocket for things that you have to do anyway. So it's a no-brainer.
A lot of the time, and having spoken to many guests this week, these ideas are great, but it's finding the time to do it, isn't it? It's being able to sit down and sort of scroll through the websites and things and sort of find the best deal for you. If you can make that time, is it worth it?
I would definitely say that creating that little bit of space to see, what you can potentially rent, how you can do some of these things that will gain you extra money. Obviously, another one is looking, what do you have that you can potentially sell? Because you'd be surprised at what people will buy. Your old leftover tech, boxes and packaging, there's all sorts. But I also like to advocate people to think about things they enjoy and how they can maybe make a little bit of money through that, something that they will actually already do, and maybe they can tweak it a little bit, or something they actually enjoy. So they're finding time to do something that actually has enjoyment, but also the chance to make a little bit of extra money on the side. And the beauty is that so many people that I meet have amazing skills that are worth a lot if they went and did a little bit of freelance work or started a little side hustle, but they just don't see how valuable those skills are. And if there's one thing, Sharon, that doesn't really take any time and can be a challenge, but is always a great way to look to increase your income, is to be a bit brave and courageous.
You see, that was going to be my next question. It was my next question about bravery there. And just being, I don't know, having the confidence to ask for a pay rise, or to actually believe that your side hustle or your hobby could actually make you some money. How do we become confident? How do we get into that positive mindset?
So I think it's naturally a challenge when we're in these times where costs are going up, because that can make people feel like things are a bit scarce, and that kind of puts us into a little bit of a place where we're on the back foot and less confident. So what we almost need to kind of do is just look at the situation as an opportunity within the bit of chaos we currently find ourselves in, to be able to actually do something and take that control. And I like to kind of remind people that in the economic crash in 2008, it was terrible. Like, I got made redundant. There was a lot of doom and gloom. But it was in those times that, the companies that we see today, things like Uber and, the social media platforms, they started in the middle of a recession. And actually, in the most challenging times are the times when people come up with good ideas, because, a lot of the best businesses and a lot of the businesses that I know are actually started in quite desperate times, when people had to think differently and had to see, what can I do? And when our backs are up against the wall a little bit, it can actually make us a bit more courageous. And we are in this position at the minute where, some parts of the media are really saying it's terrible. But actually, when you start to think about what you can control and want to create a bit of certainty for yourself, actually going out there and taking a few risks, it can feel unsettling. But actually, it can feel really powerful when you start to see the potential of what you can achieve and be that bit braver and more courageous in how you approach your own life.
So if you could give one piece of advice to somebody listening now thinking, I'd like to make a bit of extra money this way, I've got this hobby that I might be able to monetize, what would it be? What would you say?
What I would say is, especially if it's something you're passionate about, you already know a lot about it. You probably know about the trends. You probably know where it's going. You know the communities where people enjoy that. You're already at an advanced starting point to being able to see if it's something that, you can make a little bit of money out of. So actually use that knowledge and come up with a little bit of a plan. And especially if you're passionate about it, you'll go so much further than somebody else who isn't passionate, because you'll have that resilience, you'll have that drive, and you'll want to make a difference. And you know what, Sharon? I've met a lot of people who've started a business with a bit of passion and a bit of a plan, and they've managed to make and do something that they absolutely love doing and are making good money doing it. Now, you don't need to be making millions or seven figures like they tell you online. Sometimes just making 50 quid here and 70 quid there from something that you enjoy, it can really light you up inside. So yeah, be courageous, take that step, make a bit of a plan, and then go and do it. Just make it happen. Take that brave step today.
Fantastic. Lee, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. You have a lovely weekend.
Thank you, Sharon. You too.
Thanks so much. That's Lee Chambers there, who's a psychologist from Preston, recognised as one of the country's top entrepreneurs. And that advice there, be brave, just go for it. You're listening to BBC Radio Lancashire.